What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Contractor Secrets Podcast. You may not know this, but you are an investor. And in this episode, it's a deep episode about really what it is that we are buying and selling every single day. You're an investor. Remember that. As a business owner, you are an investor. You may not be in that role right now, but adapting this principle that I'm going to share with you in this episode is going to help you see really what your role is and ultimately what it is that you're actually buying and selling. You might think that you're selling paint jobs. You might think that you're selling roofing jobs or whatever trade that you do, but you're actually selling something a little bit different. And I'm excited to share that with you in this episode. So tune in. The big question you need to ask yourself every day is, do I own a job or do I own a business? And unfortunately, the majority of contractors out there own a job. That's right. They're a slave to their own business. But the other side of the fence is so much greener. It's so much better. And that's when you're finally fully in control of your destiny, your freedom, your time. And that's what Contractor Secrets is about. It's about taking back our time, building a business with systems, standards, values, procedures, putting yourself in the driver's seat. And that's what it's about. So I'm excited. I'm happy to have you here. Let's dive into the Contractor Secrets Podcast. All right, everyone. Today, I want to talk to you about a mindset change. And maybe you have already adopted this way of thinking and you don't even know it. And I want to help you because this is the way that I see business. And if I can help you adopt my perspective, hopefully you can adopt similar or greater results in terms of your success. So I want to talk about the investor mindset today. It's a really important topic to me because it really impacts everything that I do in my business. And when, the foundation of your business is based off of this premise, it really helps you make great decisions and it really helps you understand the importance of certain aspects of your business. So the investor mindset, and really to start this off, I want you to think of really just investing in stock. Okay. So if you bought, 100 shares of Apple stock, what is your responsibility to Apple other than making the purchase? And you don't have to clock in. You don't have to do anything for Apple. You can simply just buy an ownership share of the company and sit back and relax. And ultimately, at this point in my business, that's where I'm at. Essentially, I really have nothing but free time at this point because I've kind of allowed myself to do that. That's always been a goal of mine in my business, is to have my time. And I always set that out as a benchmark was I want to be able to have my time to myself. I created my business for that. Now, a lot of us are kind of tied to our business. They, in most cases, you are the sole, you are the reason the engine runs. You are the person that is in charge of everything. If you were to be removed from your business, then your business would be nothing. And really in contracting, this is a huge detriment. It's not like we have a brick and mortar place. Now, think about it this way. If you had a brick and mortar contracting business, let's say you did all of your painting inside of a building and, you had customers come into your building. Okay. It wouldn't make sense for you to really just be doing every aspect of what's going on inside the building. It would be really easy for you to recognize, okay, I need to have somebody do inventory for this area of the building. And it'd be good to have somebody greet the guests in the front of the building. And it'd be good to have somebody, explain our processes to the guests. So I need somebody to do that. But because our business is in most cases, remote, or, we don't really have a physical location, the idea of defining roles and all that stuff is kind of like, it's not as concrete as it would be if our business was under a structure. So the reason why I'm saying all this is because when we come with an investor mindset, the investor mindset says, okay, I need to have this role, this role, this role. I got to do this, 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 and this. And then I can step back and watch the machine work. And if you don't have experience with that, it just takes so long to get to that point. And by that time you're pretty tired and you don't really, you don't have the energy to invest in hiring and, creating roles and all that stuff. And it's just kind of like this downward hill for you as a contractor. And we don't want that. The idea is for you to be an investor. So another example I want to give you is if you were to purchase a painting franchise, let's say you were an investor of a painting franchise and you go up to whatever franchise it is. I like Wow One Day. I like their branding. So I'm going to use them as an example. I don't know too much about the processes, but from what I understand, it's pretty simple. You'll pay a certain amount of money to be a franchisee. Let's say it's $35,000. And you go up to them and say, okay, I want to be a franchisee. They say, great. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to give you this playbook. And essentially this playbook says that you need a supervisor to manage the jobs, and you need a salesperson to do your estimates. And then you need 4 painters minimum to create a crew. Painter 1 makes $20 an hour. Painter 2 makes $18 an hour. Painter 3 makes $16 an hour. Painter 4 makes $14 an hour. This is what you can pay them. Okay. After 2 months, then you need to create another crew. And this crew is going to be, crew 2, and painter 1 makes $20 an hour. Painter 2 makes $18 an hour. Painter 3 makes $16 an hour. Painter 4 makes $14 an hour. Okay. Now you're going to use, this Facebook campaign, and you're going to get this many leads. And then you're going to have, you're going to do this marketing, event, and you're going to, garnish this much leads and this much business. And essentially what they're doing is they're putting a business in a box for you. And, you as an investor, you're like, great. Okay. So what type of revenue can I anticipate? Oh, well, you're going to make, right around $80,000 to $120,000 net profit a year if you do this X, Y, and Z, right? So as an investor, you're thinking, wow, this is great. Okay, they're going to set up all this stuff for me. Awesome. Okay, so that is really the benefit of a franchise, but you don't need a franchise to create that sort of system. It's just you have somebody really just facilitating and making sure that you're following the rules. And that's what I did in my business. I didn't have anyone telling me to follow the rules, but I did exactly what I just told you. The 2 teams, the supervisor, all of the above. So now I have a system that is could be duplicatable. If I were to franchise, I could easily just jot down everything that I do, put together training forums and all this, and create a corporate office that holds our franchisees accountable for operating the same way that is to be expected as the way I do it, and that's called brand consistency. So investor mindset, right? So let's scale back for a second, because the investor mindset really comes down to what it is that you do every day. And if you think about what it is that you do every day, and we narrow it down to a rudimentary principle, and I really want to boil this all the way down for you, because when you think of it like this, you're going to realize really what it is that you do. So I have identified my role in my company as a buyer and seller of paint and labor. Okay, so obviously those of you who are listening to this, and maybe you're a contractor who does roofing or tile, obviously whatever product that you do, you're a buyer and seller of that product, and you're a buyer and seller of the labor that you garnish to provide to the marketplace in exchange for money. So really the conversation comes down to, really when it comes to materials, you're not so much in control of the quality of the materials. It's the vendor's responsibility to do that. So ultimately, you can easily just switch vendors, and if you're not happy with the quality of the product, so that's really easy. And you can negotiate your prices with them as well. So from there, you're a buyer and seller of a good quality material at a good price. So maybe you did some negotiation to get paint down to $30 a gallon, like I did. A really good quality paint, and I sell that paint to the marketplace at a higher rate. So I'm a buyer and seller of paint, okay? But the hardest part, and really what we actually do, because again, we don't make the product, we don't, mix our own paint, we leave that up to the paint stores to do. But what we do is we buy and sell labor. Labor is our job. We have to buy and sell labor to the marketplace. Now, you think about it on an even deeper level, is that what you're doing is you're actually creating some sort of negotiation on what you are going to pay an individual to perform work for your company. So when you do an interview, they might say, okay, I want $18 an hour. And you might say, we're only going to give $16 an hour for this position. Okay, so you bought that person's labor. You bought their time for $16 an hour. Now, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be going to the marketplace and saying, hey, I have paint and I have somebody that can apply the paint. I'm going to charge you $30 an hour for this. Okay, so ultimately you're pricing the entire project out at that price. Okay, and just follow me, because I'm trying to keep this as simple and basic as possible. Now the reason why it would be beneficial for somebody to hire you is because they don't want to find somebody to find. In other words, you've already vetted out the applicant to be an adequate applicator of the product. Okay, so that is valuable to the marketplace. Okay, they don't have to do it themselves, number one, and they trust your business and your brand to have adequate trained individuals to apply the paint in a way that is sufficient for the level of quality that you would expect out of a high performing contracting company, okay? But obviously we don't work with one person, and some of us do, and we need to get out of that. So you bring on another person and you say, hey, this role is, let's say $16 an hour, okay? And your responsibilities are X, Y, and Z, and you're going to work alongside of this guy. Okay, cool. So you bought that person's labor for $16 an hour, all right? And now you have two people, 14 and 16. And I'm working backwards here, but you guys are getting the idea. So you have 14 and 16. And now you have a team that you put together, okay? And you have the responsibility of overseeing, and you are taking that labor that you now have, which is $30 an hour, and you're selling it to the marketplace, okay? And now you may sell it for more. Now you can sell it for $60 an hour, okay? Because you bought it for 30 and you want to double your profit. So now you're selling it at $60 an hour, okay? So you do the same thing. You bring on somebody else as an investor and you say, you know what? I'm going to buy labor at this guy's level. He has a lot more skill at $18 an hour. So now you have an 18, a 16, and a 14. And now you have this, you have this labor force at $48 an hour, okay? That is what you're buying it for, all right? Now you have to sell it to the marketplace for more, all right? So the investor mindset knows that he needs to spend a good amount of time on his hiring process, because ultimately what we are doing as contractors is we're selling labor, okay? The paint and the materials and the other products that we use in our contracting businesses are independent of us. It's out of our control. Okay, we don't get to create the product unless you're one of the rare individuals who, own a paint store and a paint company. We're going to just stick to what we can control, and that's the labor. So what do we need to do with labor? Okay, we have to manage it. Okay, we have to make sure that it's operating within the standards. We have to make sure that the labor is keeping the promises that was made during the sale. We have to make sure that the labor is, operating with integrity. We have to make sure that the labor is getting the job done on time that's profitable. If you budget a job for 3 days and the labor takes 5 days, obviously you as an investor, you have to find a way to make that 3 days happen, whether it's applying pressure to the team or if it's, some business owners, they take away money. Unfortunately, some business owners find other ways to motivate. So it's your job to curate that labor to not only help you capitalize on your investment, but more so make sure that you're keeping your promises to the marketplace, which makes you more valuable. So what happens when, you are unable to, or you don't want to manage the labor anymore? Well, you assign someone to manage the labor for you. This is your project manager, and your project manager comes in and you only work with him, and you say, okay, you are responsible to make sure that this team comes to work on time, that they're working adequately, that they're working fast, that they are, helping, so that project manager is essentially watching your labor investment portfolio for you. Okay. And he's essentially reporting back to you saying, hey, this person's not working that fast. This person's making mistakes. So ultimately that person's coming back as a bad investment because they said that they were going to work fast and they weren't going to make mistakes. So this person is watching all this for you, which is freeing your time. Okay. But in the same way, hiring a project manager is an investment. Okay. So the amount of time that you spend finding a project manager, finding someone with standards, with experience, with management experience, with, great communication skills, that is your investment. And your investment in a project manager is going to increase the value of the investment in your team labor pool. Does that make sense? So ultimately what we're doing is we are buying and selling labor. And as business owners, we want the best possible investment. So how do we do that? Well, we spend time hiring. We really narrow down our hiring process. When I see a company that's not successful, one of my first questions is, what's your hiring process? How do you acquire individuals to work into your company? Essentially, it would be like somebody who says they're an investor in stocks and just kind of picking stocks based off of companies that they know. They didn't do any research on it. They didn't ask any professional advice. They don't have a process of which they buy and they sell. They just kind of buy the hot stock, or they just buy whatever they want, and they wind up losing. And that's the same thing. If we make poor hiring decisions and we don't have team structure, we don't have roles defined in our business, then that's ultimately what we're doing. And that's the major issue, because ultimately, again, what we are doing is buying and selling labor to the marketplace. That's what makes us valuable. And what makes you even more valuable is your ability and your keen sense of being able to assemble a team and knowing different personalities and knowing which personality goes with which person and knowing how to manage a team. So ultimately, now you're moving outside of the actual project itself because you have a project manager. So now you decide, you know what, I'm going to create another crew. I'm going to sell more labor to the marketplace. I'm going to sell more. I'm going to sell this idea that we're able to, help the marketplace by providing another team, another unit that can provide an excellent service. So you do the same thing again, and this time, you have you do the same thing. You find a manager, you find 4 teammates, you find, really you do exactly what you did the first time, and you curate. You try your best to obviously find the best investments. You want to find the best people. So at this point in time, you have 2 crews to manage, and ultimately you step back again and you say, you know what, I need to find a supervisor to manage this labor for me. I need to find a supervisor to manage these 2 investments. And ultimately what you're doing at that point in time is you're completely removing yourself from having to manage the investments. Now, I know I'm using investments a lot, and I don't want you to think that what I'm doing is devaluing an individual by just pretty much saying that they're a number. Those of you who know me, I care so much about my employees. They are like my family. I go above and beyond for them. I don't want you to get the idea that I just see people as numbers, because I don't. But as a business owner, that is what you're doing. You are buying and selling labor to the marketplace at a higher rate of which that you pay for it. And the value of your investment is how well the investments are managed, and how well you manage the managers of the investments. Okay, that is the tier system of business. So with that being said, let me flip the script here. If you are working in your business as somebody who is a laborer, okay, let's say that you're still quote unquote in the brush. I have a huge painting following, so I use, painting analogies a lot, but I don't know, maybe in the roofing business it's called you're still on the roof, or you're a tiler and you're still in the bathroom. I don't know, whatever they say. So ultimately you're still in that role. Well, let me talk to you about opportunity cost as a business owner. If we are investors and buyer and sellers of labor, I want to talk to you about opportunity cost. And opportunity cost is what you're giving up for what you're doing now. So as a business owner, let me give you an example of what you could be doing with your time. Let's say that for 5 days throughout the week, you knock on 150 doors a day, and forgive me for my math here, you hit 1,000 houses. Okay, so you hit 1,000 houses in a week, and you have a 10% closing ratio. So you sell 100 jobs in 5 days, 40 hours a week. Okay, at $2,500 a job, you brought in $250,000 for your business. Okay, now that same, let's flip the script. That same other week, in a different scenario, you worked 40 hours for your business in a role that could be replaced for $20 an hour. So ultimately, instead of knocking doors and marketing and canvassing for your business and generating almost $200,000 of revenue, in my very over-exaggerated example, you spent your time in a role that could be replaced for $20 an hour, which equates to $800. Okay, so you essentially gave up $249,200 of opportunity cost. Now, yes, my example is extreme, but in the same breath, you as a business owner are more valuable generating business for your company. The value is way higher. So the longer that you make I would say, honestly, it's come up with the idea that you can't find a replacement, which is so false. It's just a lack of hiring strategy. And you have to understand that the first step to creating a business is defining roles, attaching a dollar figure to those roles, and then hiring those roles, managing those roles, okay? And obviously, you are an investor of buying and selling labor. So I hope that opens up to your eyes to how detrimental it is for you to be physically doing anything in your business, because you're way more valuable selling and canvassing work and managing the people in your business than you are actually physically doing the work. And a lot of people say, Tanner, I've done the work for so long, I don't know how to not do the work. Well, I say to you that ultimately, if you are a hands-on business owner, your role is going to be better served as a manager of the production. You're still able to kind of step in a little bit. You know the business mostly better than everybody, so you're able to teach and you're able to mentor. But remember, there's also people in your business that want to grow, and you're stopping them from doing it. And I always say this: whenever people feel like they can't grow, they find somewhere else to go. And that's really important for you. So don't let people stay stagnant because you're too afraid to get out of the production. Don't let that happen, because ultimately what you're doing is you're just going to be making it worse for yourself, because they're going to find somewhere else to go. And it could be a really loyal employee, somebody that's really invested in your business, but you're not giving them an opportunity to take on more roles and to grow as an individual. So they'll find somewhere else to go. And then you got to start from scratch. And then it's just a longer feedback loop to get to where you were initially, and then you have to make that decision again. So just do it now. Get out of the brush, get off the roof, and start thinking of yourself as a investor, a buyer and seller of labor to the marketplace. Define your roles, and and then prosperity isn't too far away. So I hope you got something out of this today. I hope you really adopted my perspective of the way that I see what it is that we actually do. Obviously, there's so much more to it. I really just wanted to give you that rudimentary version of the way that you can see business, to help you understand how important hiring is, how important, and really what you're actually doing in the marketplace. Thank you, guys. I look forward to serving you in the future. If you want to join me on a breakthrough session, please reach out to me. It's super fun. We just hammer out 30, 45 minutes of your personal business stuff, whether it's good or bad. And if you value my advice, I'd love to share it with you. So hit me up. Thanks for listening. Hey, I just want to take a second to thank you for joining me here on the Contractor Secrets podcast. I'm just going to take this opportunity to let you know that my passion is coaching people, helping people. I've changed my Instagram name to @contractorcoach, and I did that because that is my passion. I want to help you. So please reach out to me. If you have an issue going on in your business, send me an email. Find me on Instagram, message me, and let's do a breakthrough session. I want to work through your problems in your business to help you get to that next level. And one thing that I always say is this, the difference between those that get over the humps and the hurdles in business is just a change in perspective. And that's what I plan to offer you. So get with me, message me, allow me to help you take your business to the next level.